Hello, in this short video I'll be showing you a simple setup for threading your rigid heddle to weave narrow warp face pattern bands. In the last video I showed you how to wind the warp in a figure of 8, and here we have the completed warp. It's attached at one end around the G-clamp and it is now firmly tied so that the warp ends are nice and secure. In the centre we have the cross sticks threaded through the figure of 8 that we wound the warp in. What we need to do first is to divide this in two, because we start threading the heddle in the centre. So if I divide this warp into two, that's it, like that. Right, if I divide it into two, if I can just show you, we have the centre two red pattern threads which go through the centre hole in the heddle, and then the warp on either side is more or less in the correct order for threading, but we do need to check it against the warping plan. So there is your warp all ready to start threading. So what else do we need? Well, of course we do need a rigid heddle, holes and slots. And an easy way of threading your warp through the holes and the slots. For the slots we use a reed hook. As a weaver I obviously use one of these for threading my reed, but you can very simply make one by cutting the same shape out of some very stiff plastic. This was made out of the side of a milk carton, so you don't need to buy a reed hook yourself. Now for threading the warp ends through the holes in the heddle, very often with rigid heddles the holes are quite small, so what I've made here is a simple, well, it's like a needle threader but slightly larger. It's a piece of stiff wire in the form of a loop just taken through a bead, so I've got something to hold on to, and that is pushed through the hole in the heddle, and then we can push the warp end through there and pull it through for threading, so it makes threading much easier. And finally, it is easier to thread your heddle if it is vertical. So with my husband's marvellous piece of woodworking skills here, he's made me a heddle holder of a piece of wood with 4 screws in it. So that holds your heddle vertically, and now you're ready to start the threading. But you do need to refer to the warping plan that we looked at before. So here we've got the colours of the warp and how many warp ends that we use this for making the warp itself. For the threading we start in the centre. For this one it's the red ends, which are 2 red ends for the pattern thread in the centre, then two white, then 1 red, then 2 yellow, and then the next pattern thread. So I'll just thread a few threads so that you can see how you can get a rhythm going when you're threading your heddle. So I've got that to refer to. So I take my 2 centre pattern threads, and they're going to go through the centre hole in the heddle. Modern heddles don't tend to have the hole in the middle, so you have to go slightly to one side, but you push your loop of wire through, open it out, put the 2 red ends through the loop, and then just pull it through, and that is your first thread in the heddle. Now the next was 2 white ends, so we take the next 2 white ends from the cross sticks here. Now the first one goes through a slot, so here we've used the reed hook through the slot, put the white end around it and pull it through. And the next white end goes through the next hole, so push the threader through, open it out, take the white warp end, push it through the hole and pull it through the heddle. So there's the first 3 warp ends. Now the next one is a pattern thread in red, so we have to take the 2 red ends together, and this time these go through a slot. So we put the reed hook through, put it around the reed hook, oops, that's it, pull it through, And there's the next warp end done. We now have 2 yellow warp ends. The first one now goes through a hole. So here's the threader through the hole. Oops, push your yellow warp end through the loop and pull it back through the heddle. The next one goes through the slot. Push the lead through, and there's the yellow warp end, and pull it through. And the third pattern thread, another 2 red here, goes through the next hole. So as you can see, we've made a start on doing the threading, and we're going from the centre out to this edge. Then we return to the centre, and again it is the 2 white ends at this side of the pattern thread. So there's the warping plan. At the moment we've done the centre, red thread, 2 white, 1 red and 2 yellow. So when you've completed doing all your threading, you're then ready to start weaving.